We've just fitted solar at this house, but we're installing it in a way that I wouldn't recommend for every homeowner. The strange thing is, more and more people across the UK are asking for this type of installation, but choosing it for the wrong reasons could leave you spending more money for very little benefit. So today we're fitting a complete in-roof solar PV system, and by the end of this video you'll know who should choose it and who definitely shouldn't. But now let me take you to another job where we're currently installing another in-roof solar system. So these are the Viridian 405 watt panels, and they are specially designed for in-roof systems like this. There's quite a few unique features to these panels, which means they're not like normal solar panels. So in these boxes we've got the flashings, which are basically the kits that go around the edge of the panels to enable them to sit neatly within the roof. And enable you to keep the waterproof seal of the roof and tile up to the edges of them so that they look really nice. There's different kits, and it's a little bit like paint by numbers. You've got different colours and different kits for corners and sides and the bottom rows, etc. So it all pieces together quite cleverly and enables a really beautiful result. So each of these has a colour on it. So you can see this is landscape orientation, and this is portrait orientation, and you've got also landscape yellow, and all of these mean something. It's all designed specifically in advance in the Viridian design tool, and then it's just a case of knowing which kit goes where. So we've got the mains here and the gateways going here. So Lee's prepping the cable route to get the mains tails across, because we've got to run the entire power for the property through across into the garage, through the gateway, and then back to the main distribution board. You're through. Right, so Lee's busy drilling through into this cupboard. So we've got our main single phase supply here, and there's quite a lot of existing distribution boards. It's quite a large property here. Not really doing anything with this at the moment. We've already put in an EV charger a few weeks ago. So this is new, this is from us. So we put a main isolator switch in there and run the EV charger. Now we're going to be fitting a switch fuse, which then is going to feed the 𝐶𝐮 Energy gateway, and then from the 𝐶𝐮 Energy gateway it will come back into these Henley blocks, and those Henley blocks then feed all of the rest of the distribution boards in the house, and then the 𝐶𝐮 Energy battery and inverter will be fed directly from the gateway, which is going to be in the garage just next to the gateway. Now the question is, if on-roof works, why was in-roof invented? To put it simply, in-roof solar was developed to solve a very simple problem. If you're building a brand new house or you're re-roofing your existing roof, it seems crazy to cover your new roof in roof tiles, which are expensive, and then fit solar panels on top of them. So whereas on-roof solar sits over the roof tiles, in-roof solar sits among them. The panels go on first, and then the tiles get laid around those panels. This reduces the amount of roofing material that you need, so you save on cost. It means that the panels sit within the roof and look like they were meant to be there. And sometimes it means you can fit more panels than you could if you were using an on-roof system, because the MCS borders for wind uplift no longer apply. If you're enjoying content like this and you'd like to stay tuned for future videos, make sure you subscribe and hit the like button to never miss a future upload. 2 neutrals, 2 lives and 1 earth. Okay, gonna be a bit tight. Do you think it's better to put them in one by one, or? So we've got a seriously complicated cable route for the DC cable. Customer doesn't want any cables on show on the outside of the property because it's an architect designed property, and the customer is the architect. So we're trying our best to run everything internally through cutting little hatches in the ceilings and voids and pulling the cable all the way up. Ruben's busy now trying to get the last little leg of the route by the looks of it. So you managed to get rods all the way up to here.
Yeah.
And then from here it goes that way. And
yeah, so if you think the pitch comes up here, so this is just like a little void that goes all the way through.
Yeah.
So we fished up to here, that goes through to the next bit, and then I think it has to go across and then back up again.
Yeah.
And then that's the first roof, and then it's got to go back across to the other roofs.
Quite a place. I feel like I'm going to fall through this glass staircase. It's a bit tight. How's that, Lee? Bit more? So we've got the DC cable coming up in that little cupboard. Then it's got to fish over through this void and down to that roof there, which is the furthest of our 3 strings. and once we're there, then we can start fitting panels. But because of the way the Viridian system is set up, we can't put the panels on and then string it up afterwards. We need that PV Ultra there ready because it's going to be underneath the panels. They've got to do the connection to the panels, put the panels down and then put the flashings around, and then it's all sealed and there's no going back. Lots of little voids everywhere, but quite tricky. It'd be much easier if we could just climb out this window rather than having to go up the ladder on the scaffolding. Now in general there are two types of in-roof solar mounting system. There's the system that we're using here from Viridian. These are specifically designed panels for in-roof, and they have a lot of unique features about them, particularly when it comes to fire safety and preserving the fire barrier of the roof. The other system that is quite common out there is using these kind of trays where you lay normal solar panels into them. However, there's been some issues with that in terms of fire safety, MCS approval, and also when it comes to maintaining the water seal of the roof. So we've always shied away from those tray systems and we've always stuck to the Viridian system that we know and trust. But the problem with the Viridian system is the panels are expensive. These panels are probably about 4 times the price of a normal solar panel. So although you're saving money on roofing material, the panels and the flashings themselves are quite expensive. However, my motto is always do it once, do it properly, use quality materials that you know are going to last. And when you're messing around with a roof, you don't want to risk any leaks or any problems down the line. You want to do it once and do it properly. I just thought you were like, oh, I'm so good at carpentry now that I need to push myself and learn something else because I'm a master carpenter, so now I need to become a master electrician instead. This is Matty, by the way. He's our newest addition to the team. He's a trainee electrician, so he's doing his portfolio with us. And he's just done this lovely bit of conduit work. It looks really nice and neat. And we did a little members only video a few weeks ago where we interviewed Matty to learn a little bit about him and what he's got going on. So make sure you sign up as a member if you want to watch that behind the scenes video where we give you a little bit of an update on all of the team. So the guys have done really well and managed to get those 3 cables in. They're quite chunky, these DC cables. They've got 4-core 6mm PV Ultra SWA, a 2-core as well, and a data cable on that long and windy route. But they've managed to pull all 3 cables in now. There's a bit of patching up to do, and then it'll be like we were never here. Now the process of installing these panels is fairly simple. The flashing kits get installed in a kind of build by numbers type setup. The design software that we use shows us exactly which flashing kits need to go where, and in between you've got a little gutter that sits between the panels. All of the panels have these rubber seals around them where the flashings fit into really nicely and tightly to maintain the water barrier of the roof and preserve the fire seal of the entire panel. And that means everything's watertight, everything's fire safe, and the whole thing's built to last. So this is the gateway and the batteries now on the wall, and the guys are just kind of getting all the cables into place, ready to clip now neatly down into the isolators and things like that. Decided to go with a length of trunking along here, which is going to protect the tails, and we've got a socket that we've had to relocate. There's a little bit of rejigging of things in here to get this nice blank canvas of a wall all prepped and ready to go. These are those 2 big DC cables that I was talking about. So this is the 4-core and this is the 2-core. We've used steel wire armoured cable because the cables are going to be hidden in voids and things like that, and you never know if someone might drill into a void at some point. At least the cable's armoured and it's protected if anyone did cause any damage without knowing about it. And then this is the data cable, which is going to do the signal to the 𝐼𝐺𝐸 taps, because we're using 𝐼𝐺𝐸 optimizers here. The tap is the 𝐼𝐺𝐸 access point, which basically communicates with all of the optimizers. And basically now that the hard bit is done of getting the cables in the walls, we can start dressing everything in and connecting everything. So our fantastic team got to work installing the panels, and it's safe to say the result speaks for itself. But it certainly wasn't without its fair share of challenges.
So the panels are all now fitted. We've got an 8.5 kilowatt peak. We've got 2 arrays here. We've got one to the south side and then one to the west side as well. As you can see, we've retrofitted these Viridian in-roofs, which is not the most common way of installing, but with the customer's specific requirements, this was the best solution to go with. and it's come out so well. With retrofit, there's a few more considerations. We had to get a roofing company in to strip the roof of the area that we required. We're checking batten sizing, making sure everything is up to scratch underneath the roof before installing. And then Solar Soul, Tom and the boys, the team came down, installed the Viridian in-roof system, and already the system is performing fantastically. Each of the Viridian panels, we put the maximum size panel that we can on, which are the 445 watt. They're all black panel. What is good with the Viridian system is we can add Tigo optimizers underneath. There is space underneath this in-roof system to get the Tigo optimizers. And because we've got multiple aspects, and I'm sure on some of the footage you'll be able to see we've got trees dotted about everywhere here, shading is probably going to be an issue. So what we've done is optimized every panel, which is going to maximize our generation for this system. It's going to give the customer a little bit more on the monitoring side of things, and we've already had a conversation this morning about one of the panels wasn't operating to what we believed it should do. Turns out the system just needed a bit of an update, so we've got that squared and sorted, but it gives the customer and also ourselves as installers a full overview of what each panel is doing.
So who would I recommend to get in-roof solar? Well, if you need a new roof because your existing roof is old and falling apart, it's the perfect opportunity to get in-roof solar. Installers will generally not feel comfortable installing solar panels on top of a roof that is dated, cracked, bowing, falling apart. So if you want to get solar and your roof is old and not in good condition, you're gonna need to get some roof repairs first before you could put on-roof solar on anyway. And in that case, it usually just makes sense to get a quote for an entire re-roof and having in-roof solar fitted. The other situation where I'd highly recommend getting in-roof solar is if aesthetics are the #1 thing for you. Maybe you've got a beautiful slate roof, you don't want anything sitting out of the roof, you just want everything to look like it was built to be there. Well, in that case, there's no compromise. You need in-roof solar, because even the most beautiful on-roof systems like the ones that we fit with the solar skirt bird protection and the all black panels, although they look smart, you can tell that they've been fitted after the fact, right? Whereas an in-roof system just looks like it was built to be there.
Max, would you sooner have these panels or those panels? So a lot of people will probably look at this array and think, why have you put panels up here with a massive chimney in front of it? Well, south is bang on that way. And from a design point of view, obviously, we still try and get everything as south as possible. There is a real strong argument now for east-west array. And there is also now an argument with the north arrays. If we're going to get shading from this chimney, which we're going to, simple as that, we're still going to produce on the other panels. You know, this right hand side is definitely still going to produce. We're going to experience some shading on the left hand side towards the end of the day. I'm going to be really keen to monitor these and see how well they're doing. So these are our last 3 panels. Okay, we are bang on southeast with this way. We actually brought these 3 panels in with them, those panels around the corner as well, so they're all on the same string, so that way we've only got 3 strings. Because we've got optimizers, we can be on different aspects, it doesn't matter. But what's really nice about this one is how the install and the finish has come out around the actual array, and it's little touches. You won't see this from the ground, but when you're up here you can see how these slate tiles are cut. I mean, that is just superb.
So the question is, does in-roof solar actually cost more or less than on-roof solar? Well, there's a few factors to consider here. First of all, like we said, the in-roof panels and the flashings, they are more expensive, but you save on roofing material. So what you spend extra on the solar panels, you might spend less on the roofing material depending on what type of roof it is. Obviously, there's all the labor involved for the roofers of re-roofing the property, but if you had to do that anyway, then it's kind of a no-brainer to get in-roof solar, in my opinion. There's also the improved visual appeal. It makes it more saleable as a property, in my view, because you have an integrated solar PV system that looks like it was built to be there. And the lifetime value of the system, in my opinion, is higher because you've got a brand new roof and you've got solar panels integrated into it. It's the perfect setup.
So we've got a 12 kilowatt 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐫 energy controller as the inverter. And then we've got 3 9.04 kilowatt hour battery modules with 8.76 kilowatt hours of actual usable capacity. I've already had a conversation with the customer. He's potentially going to go for more battery storage. And that's a really good thing with the 𝐒𝐮 Energy system, is that we can just come along. There's a little bit more to it, but lift the inverter up, put another battery module on, inverter drops on top, and we've increased our battery storage amount. We've also fitted the 𝐒𝐮 Energy Home Pro, the new gateway. If you're gonna go for a 𝐒𝐮 Energy system with inverter, battery, whether you're prone to cuts or not, as an installer, it's actually easier to fit the gateway, but also from a customer point of view, why would you not have it? By the time you add separate consumer units, protective devices, supply from wherever you're going, your point of origin, out to your inverter, the cost, there's not much difference. And what it's giving you is that whole home backup security in the event of an outage. And the last part of the install is the new 𝐒𝐮 Energy 7 kilowatt AC charger. What they've done is they've now added pen fault protection into the AC charger. On the previous model, they didn't have it. For us as installers, it wasn't really an issue because generally we were putting it alongside a 𝐒𝐮 Energy system with a gateway, with a backup earthing. So we didn't need that pen fault protection, but they've added it in it now. So it's a good option if you're looking at staggering an install and having the AC charger put in first, and then at a later date going down the solar battery gateway route. You can do it that way, and you know that you're protected, and you know that the charger's got its relevant protection, and it's just brought it up to our UK standards.
So who would I not recommend getting in-roof solar? Well, if you've had a new roof recently, or your roof is in quite good condition, getting in-roof solar is going to cost you a lot more because you're going to have to strip off those roof tiles, potentially do new felt and batten anyway to get the right batten spacing and sizing, and in general it's just going to be a lot more upheaval and a lot more expense to get in-roof solar. So unless aesthetics are the #1 thing for you, if you want an efficient system that looks smart, I would say go with an on-roof solar system. If you're considering a similar project, feel free to get in touch with us at Artisan Electrics. There's a link below where you can contact us to get a quote for your project.